The first unofficial rule that is going to help you get through airport security as quickly as possible is to forget everything that you learned in school about what is a liquid and what is a solid. Instead, you are going to want to blindly comply with the TSA's wacky categorization. There are two components to this. Number one is that you educate yourself on the strange definitions of a liquid that TSA has. I'll leave some resources in the description, such as the official TSA website, as well as the Ask TSA chatbot, where you can get specific answers on what you can and can't bring. A liquid is anything that you can spread, spray, pour, spill, or anything that cannot hold its shape outside of the container that it is stored in. The second component is that you do not argue or blatantly laugh when a TSA agent tells you that your mashed potatoes, peanut butter, and spray-on sunscreen are liquids. You will also want to educate yourself on what you will need to take out of your luggage and place into the screening bins, and then be sure to pack these items in an easily accessible pocket of your luggage. Do not pack things that usually need to be placed in the gray bin for separate screening, like your bag of liquids or your laptop, in your zipped-up rolling carry-on suitcase before going through airport security. It's a pain in the butt for you and for those around you if you need to squat down in the middle of a busy lineup to unzip your suitcase and pull these things out for screening. Have them ready to go in an easily accessible pocket. The next unwritten rule is to take a moment before you get into the security lineup and check your boarding pass for a secret code, SSSS. You do not want to see it, but it's good to know in advance if you have it. SSSS means Secondary Security Screening Selection, and it can appear on anyone's boarding pass at random. It's important to know if you have been selected, so you can mentally prepare for a more intense screening process, including a more thorough search of your body, your belongings, and even some questioning. And even if you are part of a trusted traveler program like TSA PreCheck and are usually exempt from doing things like pulling your liquids and your electronics out of your bag, know that if you are flagged with SSSS, it's going to override any privileges that you have, and you will need to go through the original screening process with a few additional steps. An unofficial rule that could save you a lot of time and hassle is to avoid wrapping any presents before going through airport security. Depending on the agent that you get, there is a decent chance that you will need to unwrap the gift so the agent can see exactly what you are traveling with. So all that time that you spend preparing in advance, wrapping all of these presents for the holidays, ends up being wasted time, and it ends up costing you more time because it's quite a delay at security as an agent has to go through and unwrap each gift. Be extra careful around holiday times in general, since common souvenirs like a Christmas market snow globe that contain unspecified amounts of liquids are not allowed, or even those incredibly common Christmas crackers, since they make a sound that could resemble a gunshot. We all love a good Christmas cracker, but be honest, if you were sitting on a plane and you heard one of those go off but you didn't see it, you'd probably freak out just a little bit. I would. Let us know down in the comments what items you have had to get rid of when going through the airport security screening. I am always surprised by the random things that TSA does not let you bring. My name's Megan, and you may also want to subscribe to the channel as I make videos just like this with travel tips and hacks each week. Following this next rule is going to help you avoid any eye rolls from your fellow travelers by not having to uncomfortably ask them if you can jump ahead in the TSA line. Free apps like MyTSA and websites like TSAWaitTimes.com allow you to get up-to-date information on airport delays and security wait times before you even leave home. You'd be surprised how quickly things can change, so think of this step like checking the weather forecast, but for your airport status, so you know exactly what to expect and how much time you should be giving yourself to get through the screening process. Unexpected things do happen, and if you are truly running against the clock, sometimes it is better to ask if you can jump ahead in the TSA wait line, either by asking the travelers ahead of you or by asking an agent if they can escort you to the front of the line. But do not make a habit of it and only pull this card when you really need it. A TSA guideline every traveler should follow, with no exceptions, is to never ever ask a stranger to hold your spot in line and watch your luggage while you do something like run to the washroom or realize that you forgot to empty your water bottle and need to dump it. We travelers usually have our hands and our headspace full enough without also having to worry about dragging someone else's luggage through the line too. And leaving your luggage with someone is a security concern for you for multiple reasons, but it's also going to be a security concern for them since they don't know what is in your luggage. If you are traveling with dependents, it's beneficial for you and everyone around you to take some time to brief them and make sure they know what to expect to get through TSA without any holdups. It is much more pleasant to let your 95-year-old mother-in-law know things like to have her passport open to the picture page and help guide her through the process than it is to angrily wait for her on the other side of the security line while she fumbles through the process alone. If you have been through the security line before, it is going to be best practice to brief everyone that you are traveling with, including children, as well as fully independent adults that may have not done it before. This is going to help your entire group get through the process as quickly as possible, and it's also going to be doing the agents a favor. An unwritten rule that experienced travelers know all too well is the importance of having both a physical and a mobile boarding pass. You can get a mobile pass emailed to you or have it available to you on the airline's app by checking in for your flight online. You can also print a physical boarding pass at home, or you can have one printed for you for free at the self-serve kiosk when you arrive at the airport, or by checking in with an agent that is representing the airline you are flying with. I've taken hundreds of flights and have had countless experiences where either my mobile pass or my physical pass will not scan. I can only imagine how much it would have sucked to get into the security process and have one of these not work, but then not have a backup with me. You'd be subject to a stressful delay and pulled out of line while waiting for an available agent to help you out. Always have both a mobile version and a physical version to avoid this. The next best practice for getting through the airport security screening process without any hassles or delays would be to organize the items that you put in security bins by least valuable to most valuable. This is because the items that you place into the TSA screening bins first are going to be waiting for you the longest on the other side of security. These items are left unattended for the longest amount of time. So always send through the less enticing stuff first, like a liquids bag or a zipped up rolling suitcase, as opposed to things like your wallet or a laptop. The next rule that is not mandatory but really should be is that every traveler should have some sort of physical identifier on any common electronics that they intend to bring through airport security. Large electronics like a laptop often need to be put into a security screening bin on their own, so you can end up having 3 silver MacBook Airs going through the scanner in their own separate bins and not be able to identify whose is whose. Having some sort of physical identification on your device is going to help you spot your device immediately, and it's also going to help you avoid a situation where someone else mistakenly grabs your laptop instead of their own. You will also want to make sure that all of your devices are fully charged in case you do need to check whose laptop is whose, or in case an officer needs to power on your device as part of the security screening. This best practice has 2 components. Always charge your devices before the airport, and then always have the charger packed with your device in your carry-on suitcase. If an agent does ask you to power on your device, which is not an uncommon situation, and then it turns out that your device is dead and the power cord for it is packed away in your checked luggage, it is going to be a long delay while they try to figure out a way to power on your device before you can move on to your gate. Not good. Speaking of valuables, there is one valuable item, probably the most valuable item that you are carrying, that should not go into a security bin for screening at all. That is your passport. Always have your passport in your hand and walk with it through the body scanner instead of placing it into a bin. It should never be separated from you. There are also very few rules on how to dress when going through airport security, but there are definitely some unofficial guidelines that you will want to follow that are going to save you from setting off alarms, catching unwanted officer attention, and being subject to a manual pat-down. You'll want to avoid wearing too many layers, as jackets and sweaters usually need to be taken off before the body scanner. Also skip any large jewelry or be ready to remove it before going through the scanner, and then also avoid clothing with items that are jewelry-like, such as features with sequins, chains, or buckles. It is also best practice to avoid wearing any controversial graphic t-shirts or anything that has sayings on it that might be misinterpreted. Or maybe they are correctly interpreted, but they are things that could make other passengers, or worse, an agent, uncomfortable. You'll also want to aim to wear slip-on shoes or shoes that are easy to pull on and off as needed. As a side note, sometimes you do need to take your shoes off and sometimes you don't. Just check what other travelers are doing in front of you. Children, senior citizens, or those with TSA PreCheck often do not need to take their shoes off, even if others in line do. And an unwritten rule that every traveler going through airport security should know and follow is to wear socks. For your own hygienic purposes, as well as for the comfort of all of the passengers around you, walking across that airport floor in bare feet is a big no-no. Please wear socks. While you should definitely plan your own outfits for the security screening, the next unwritten rule is to not pay too much attention to what others are wearing or not wearing once they remove their outer layer. I hate that this needs to be said, but it does. Don't be creepy. Don't stare down other travelers while they are pulling off layers, or stare down any of the things that they are pulling out of their bags and placing into the security bins. You are making them uncomfortable. It is not cool. You are creepy. Except you're not, because you watch this video and you will follow this rule and you will not be staring anyone down. On a similar note, please don't be taking videos or photos of people going through the security process. Imagine how uncomfortable it would feel to already be stressed out, pulling off layers of clothing, trying to watch your stuff, and going into a body scanner only to look over and see someone with a phone filming you. No. And while staring at fellow passengers and catching things on video is a no-no, do be alert and remember that if you see something suspicious, say something. Once all of your items have been placed into a security screening bin, except for your passport, and it is your turn to walk through the body scanner, do not get ahead of yourself. The next unwritten rule is to always look ahead and wait for an agent to motion you along before walking through the scanner. Please don't argue with the TSA agent that the scanner is going to give you cancer. It is not going to give you cancer. But if you are truly uncomfortable walking through it, do notify an agent and you can get a manual pat-down instead. Also, as a side note, it is good to know that the body scanner cannot detect anything inside of your body. I only mention this because I have had a number of young women reach out to me and ask if the body scanner would be able to detect a tampon inside of their body. But no, you're totally fine. The next unwritten rule that every TSA agent will love you for is to stay calm and follow instructions in a case where the body or the luggage scanner does set off an alarm. Alarms do go off all the time and it's incredibly common, and while you may be subject to a luggage search or a manual pat-down, remember that it's not a big deal, and being respectful, following instructions, and only answering the questions that you are asked is going to be the fastest way to have you on your way to your flight gate. I'll leave a video linked down in the description where I go through all of the questions that I have been asked when pulled aside by a TSA agent. It's good to know what these are and prepare to answer them in a case where you are asked the same questions. This next one is so critical. Once you get through the body scanner successfully, head straight to the luggage belt and await for your TSA bin with your items. And only your items. I've mentioned this so many times on the channel, but it drives me absolutely insane anytime that I go through the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. People are always grabbing other people's bins and stacking them or placing them onto the ground or onto additional tables so they can make room for their own stuff. I do not know these travelers, but I strongly dislike them, and it is so frustrating to be on the other side of the security screening, watching people touching your stuff before you have gone through the body scanner. Never ever be that person. Keep an eye on your own belongings and touch only your own belongings. Please. By putting in some extra effort to ensure a smooth screening process for yourself, you're also clearing the path for fellow travelers and letting TSA agents zero in on the actual troublemakers, not the ones that were unprepared and forgot about the can of Coke in their backpack. As in Coca-Cola. The ones with the Coke in their backpack could be the real troublemakers. My name's Megan, and I would love to see you share this video to help other travelers get through the TSA screening process as efficiently as possible, as it's going to help us too. And then I'd also love to see you subscribe to the channel to join us back here for more travel tips and hacks next week. Thank you for watching and safe travels. Bye.